But I still had great respect for the squirrels, for the creatures that they are.
Oh, God. I get so sick of it when people say this, and it's always these ethical omnivores, ethical carnivore idiots that say these things. I have so much respect for the animal, that's why I kill them. What are you talking about? Hey guys, David here at Skinny Vegan Fitness, back with another video. And yeah, today's video is about a guy who ate squirrels. The title of the video that we're going to look at is Why I Ate the Squirrels That Were Eating the Food from My Garden. I woke up only like an hour or so ago, and I woke up to a message on Instagram from a friend, and he'd sent me a message saying, hey, I found an interesting video, maybe you can talk about this on your YouTube. Gave me the link. I clicked the link, I had a quick look, and yeah, that's what it was. Why I ate the squirrels that were eating the food from my garden. I won't tell you any more than that. We're gonna watch the video together now. I'm gonna respond to it, I'm gonna react to it, I'm gonna debunk it. Let's get into this and let's find out a little bit about this guy and why he ate the squirrels from his garden. I'm gonna get these on to make it easier to edit later. And let's take a look and hear what he has to say.
Why did I eat the squirrels? Well, ironically, the squirrels were eating the plant-based forms of protein that I was planting in my garden, the sunflowers and the peanuts. And in permaculture, there's a saying, and that is, make your problem your solution. So the squirrels were my problem, so I made them my solution, my dinner.
Now, just first things first, is it just me or is this like some kind of like psychopath? Like that music? I mean, I don't want to insult the guy here. I mean psychopath in the general, like the meaning of psychopath, like incapable of empathy, because this nice happy music and he's smiling and he's like, I made them my solution. I made them my dinner, as if it's something to be really proud of and like really to be happy. I mean, that's just a very sick introduction to a video. You tell me in the comments, do you think that's a really sick kind of intro to be describing murdering, killing some innocent animals with some nice happy music and a big smile? And I don't know, I find that's unnerving. Let's go on, let's see what else he has to say. Yeah. Nice happy intro. Hey, so far looks like there's a lot of plants going on in there. That looks pretty nice.
All right, so I want to unpack this a little bit. How did this scenario happen? How did I end up eating the squirrels that were eating the food in my garden? Well, recently I embarked on a year-long mission to grow and forage 100% of my food for a year. So a year without grocery stores or restaurants, nothing packaged or processed, nothing shipped long distances. Literally everything that I would eat for the entire year, I either had to grow in my gardens or forage in the wild. So that puts me in the garden, and that puts the squirrels in the garden. I had to produce my flour, my calories, my sugars, my protein, my vegetables and fruits, you know, literally everything, even the oil. And I was working on growing some plant-based forms of protein as well. I was really successful with my beans and peas, but I ran into a big problem with my sunflowers and my peanuts. And that problem was that the squirrels were eating them.
So we're off to the first fallacy here, in that he's making it out as if he had no choice here. So he's saying like, yeah, I was doing this thing and I had to do this thing, therefore I had to kill the squirrels. But the reality is he didn't have to do this. This was a choice. He's not doing this for survival. He's doing this as some fun experiment. So why should other animals have to suffer because of your fun experiment?
Ironically, they were eating my plant-based form of protein. So in permaculture, the way of looking at the system is, how can you turn the problem into the solution? The squirrels were a problem. How could I actually turn them into a solution? So that's when I decided that I would eat the squirrels.
What kind of logic is this? What kind of logic is this? How do you look at squirrels? You look at animals, like animals that have done nothing wrong. Like what you've done is you've made a fun experiment and you've provided some food to the wildlife, and you've punished the wildlife for coming to eat that food. You know, you could just cover your food with a cage or something. There's other alternatives to this. You don't just kill and eat animals that are coming for a haven, for a safety, for food, for sustenance in your garden. That you encourage animals to come to your garden for the food that you're growing. And rather than protecting your food so they can't get it, like with non-violent ways like cages over the food or something like that, or a net or something, you let them take the food and then you take their lives for it. Like what kind of sick justification is that for killing animals? That I just find it really sick so far.
A lot of people in this scenario would just kill the pests who are a problem in their garden.
Again, it's suggesting like a false dichotomy here. It's like either you kill them or you let them eat all your food. He's suggesting that these are the only two options, but he's missing out the third option, and that there are other ways to prevent animals from eating what food you're growing. And this guy's not doing this for survival, as we've said. Like, he's probably got a bit of money. He's not someone who's like spending each day wondering where the next paycheck's coming in or where the next food's coming in. He's doing this because he's privileged and comfortable that he's been able to set this up and try this experiment. So I'm sure he's also privileged enough to be able to go out, buy some nets or some cages or something to protect his food from squirrels without killing the squirrels.
But I'm not someone who just wastes resources or who looks at life as a pest in itself. Yes, these squirrels were posing a problem for me, but I still had great respect for the squirrels, for the creatures that they are.
Oh God. I get so sick of it when people say this, and it's always these ethical omnivores, ethical carnivore idiots that say these things. I have so much respect for the animal, that's why I kill them. What are you talking about? If it were dogs coming into your garden, would you be saying the same thing? I respect the dog so much, and that's why I didn't just kill them, but I ate them. No, of course not. Partly because it's illegal, but also partly because he's a speciesist and he sees dog life as higher than squirrel life because speciesism, that's it. There's no logic to it. It's just how it is. It doesn't make any rational sense whatsoever to kill someone against their will, be violent towards someone because you respect them. It'll always blows my mind when they say this, but it's always the same rhetoric from this kind of person.
So I wasn't going to just kill them in order for my garden to be able to produce peanuts and sunflowers. For me, this was actually about finding a valuable resource that there was and using that resource wisely.
They're not a resource. They're animals that have come to your garden to seek refuge, to seek nutrition because they're trying to survive, and you've provided nutrition for them. If you're growing things outdoors in nature, then nature is going to come and reap the rewards of what you're growing unless you protect it. If you leave it open, expect it to be targeted. If I make a nice vegan pie and I leave it outside and then some dog comes and eats it, I can't just shoot the dog in the face because they ate my pie that I left outside open and unprotected. This is so messed up. And again, he's avoiding that third option, the third option to protect your food with non-violent manners, protect your growing plants with non-violent ways like cages or some kind of deterrent.
Now, squirrels are actually a sustainable source of meat. There was a huge abundance of squirrels in the environment that I was in, which was the city of Orlando, Florida. And so by harvesting these squirrels, it wasn't that I was taking from a resource that was not renewable and there wasn't already an abundance of it there.
Again, he's talking about lives, about the lives of sentient beings as if they are objects, as if they are commodities, as if they are just something to be used like a resource. And here's how we can break this open. We can blow this wide open right now. In most of the West, there is a massive issue with dogs. There are many dogs, way too many dogs in the shelters, people giving them up all the time, the street dogs, all over the world even, but more in some places than others. My point is, technically, they are also a sustainable resource of meat, a sustainable way of getting meat because there are so many of them and they're continuously breeding and the shelters are overrun with them. The animal sanctuaries are overrun with them. So by that same logic, why is he not going to go over to the shelter? Okay, because it's illegal, all right? But legality doesn't depict or define morality. So let's imagine it were legal. Would he go to pick up some dogs and chop them up? And no, of course he wouldn't do that because, as we said earlier, because speciesism, there's no logic behind it. And when you start to talk about these differences between animals and speciesist opinions, this kind of logic falls to pieces. It's not a resource if they are an animal that I like, but they are a resource if they're an animal that I don't care about. No, that's not logical, it's not rational. As much as he keeps trying to make this a logical decision, a rational decision, it's neither.
If that was the case, it's not something that I would have done. So, This is a form of organic gardening. Some people would choose to use pesticides to kill things. So this was a...
What? This is a form of organic gardening, and he uses the fact that some people use pesticides to justify him needlessly killing and eating squirrels when he could have easily not used pesticides or not used any chemicals and just used something to just stop them from getting to the plants. No, absolutely not. I'm calling your bullshit.
Sustainable local source of food right in my garden. And the reality is that even before they were eating my peanuts and sunflowers, I was already thinking about catching these squirrels and eating them.
And there comes the truth. There it is right there. That's the reality of the situation. The intention was never to prevent these squirrels from eating his foods. That was never his sole intention. That was never his sole reason for doing this. It seems to me his sole reason for doing this is that he's a bit demented. I don't know what to say, a sadist. Like he's been watching these squirrels come to his garden to eat and to feel safe and to live and survive. And instead of observing them and saying, wow, look at these beautiful animals coming to my garden. Look what I've created, this haven that I've created for wildlife. He's watching them and saying, oh, I'm thinking about killing them and eating them because protein, because of my experiment that I don't need to do, that I'm doing because I have privilege and because I can do it. I'm going to try and survive on my own garden just for some fun, and I'm thinking about just going to kill these squirrels too because why not, right? Because I feel like it. It's sick. I don't know what else to tell you. It's sick. This whole video is like packed into this little package of like, oh, I'm environmental and sustainable and I'm smiling and look at me in the forest with my green t-shirt and I'm at one with nature. When in reality, seems to me, this person has no idea what it means to live in harmony with nature and would rather just be a killer unnecessarily for some silly experiment.
So it's not that I was forced to do this or that I had to, but it really motivated me to finally do it. So
it's not that I was forced to do this or that I had to, but the fact that they were eating the food that I had grown and not protected gave me an excuse to kill them because I wanted to kill them and eat them because what? Because you like it? Because you like killing animals? Because you like eating animals? These are not justifications for using, killing, exploiting any animal on the planet. You can't justify it because I wanted to, because I like to, because it tastes good. These are not justifications. And this, what you've just said now, what he's just said now has blown open all the rest of the crap he was saying about sustainability and I did it because of permaculture and, you know, using resources. Where we get the real reason now is just that I wanted to.
Really, the reason I was eating the squirrels is because they're a local source of protein, a local quality source of food. But at the same time, I was able to deal with a problem that I had in my garden and actually turn it into a solution, into a positive thing. All right.
It's not a positive thing. You had a problem in your garden and rather than dealing with it in a non-violent way, you chose the violent path and decided to frame it as this sustainable form of protein, sustainable source of protein. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. You chose a violent path towards nature rather than choosing a path where you could be in harmony with nature, a path where you could have a win-win with nature. You chose, instead of helping these squirrels to live their best life and you live your best life, you chose to end their lives so you could live your best life in a win-lose situation. That's not living in harmony with nature.
All right, so here's the situation. I am no doubt under the crossfire for this. A lot of people will look at this, whether they're vegans and they are against eating animals altogether, or people who just like squirrels. They think they're really, really cuddly and cute and think that I shouldn't eat this while they're eating cows and pigs and chickens, for example. I am in the direct crossfire here because I'm sharing that I'm trapping and eating the squirrels. But the reality is that I've put myself out there. But the truth is that every single one of you watching this, while animals are dying on your behalf, whether you're vegan or you eat meat, the death is happening.
Here we go, and then here comes the excuses, the justifications there. I know I'm bad, but hey, you're bad too, so, don't point the finger at me because you're the bad one. Like, animals die for you, and if you're a vegan, animals die for you. Yeah, we completely acknowledge that veganism isn't perfect, but it's making an effort. Now, what he is trying to do here is draw a comparison, an invalid comparison, all right? A false equivalency between being a vegan and which animals die for someone who is a vegan and doing what he's doing. So for vegans, the reason that animals will be exploited and die are largely out of their hands. So for example, a vegan, there are many things that vegans, any of us basically, we can't avoid many forms of animal exploitation. We just simply can't avoid them. So for a perfect example that keeps coming up with this would be crop deaths. So a lot of animals, insects, etc., they die in the production of crops, or in the mainstream, let's say the biggest production of crops, the big industrial crop producers. But the alternative to buy local sustainable products, organic as well, because of the pesticides and the herbicides, well, this isn't viable for a lot of people because of the cost associated with it. It's usually a little bit more expensive, and in the big cities, it's even more expensive because they've got to get these foods from local farms and get them, transported in. So a lot of people can't afford it. So to suggest that what he's doing, killing animals on purpose, is the same as someone who is trying to be the best person they can be, best ethical person they can be, and vegan, who can't afford to have the food that doesn't come at the expense of animals. It's really a false equivalency. Vegans, of course, are responsible, as well as everyone else in the world. We're all responsible for the deaths of animals and the exploitation of animals in one way or another. The big difference is that vegans make as much effort as possible to avoid it, to the point where they literally can't avoid it anymore. Like I said, with problems of cost and food availability, whereas he is going out of his way to contribute to it. He's physically killing animals. The fact that animals die in crop production, or that die for vegans and plant-based diets, doesn't justify you going out and shooting them or killing them yourself just because you want to.
And I'll do another video where I go into that a little bit further. But if you're eating vegan and the food is coming from farms, animals are dying, whether it's mice and rats or birds or just the place being created.
Yeah, we've been through that. That doesn't justify you going out and killing animals for fun, or because that's basically what it is. Like, you're dressing it up as something else. But basically, you're doing it because it's like, oh, it's a fun experiment. It's something I like to do. It's something I'm privileged enough to go and try something crazy like this. And I've been watching those squirrels in my garden. I was thinking, oh, I want to kill them and eat them. Now, none of this is justified. It's your way of trying to justify your, I don't know what you would call it, like some kind of fetish or something, watching squirrels in your garden thinking, oh, I want to kill them and eat them. It is kind of like some kind of weird fetish, man. But you can't justify it by saying, well, vegans are responsible for other animals dying indirectly. No, you're directly responsible. It's no excuse.
Where animals are being kept out, where an environment is being created that doesn't want animals to be there. The truth is, what I'm saying is that death is happening for every single one of our meals, whether they have animals on the plate or not. I am happy to be under the crossfire, but I know that I will get a lot of comments for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's trying to do, maybe trying to garner some sympathy for his cause. I don't know, like, I'm going to be under the crossfire. And yeah, animals are dying for all of those meals, you're right. However, there's a big difference between what you're doing and what vegans are doing. Vegans are making every single effort possible to avoid it. You're making every single effort possible to go and do it. You've literally killed squirrels without needing to because you wanted to. I can keep repeating this all day. And, because it's just repeating the same points. So I'll keep repeating my rebuttals to his points. It's a ridiculous argument.
And this is about going into the truth of the food. And that was a big purpose of my year of growing and foraging all my food, to really go into the depths and go into the food and look into those gray areas. And the more that I've looked into the gray areas, the more I realized that no labels, whether it's vegan or gluten-free or organic, no label is actually one that is cruelty-free and that is not causing destruction to people, to the planet, and to other species.
Great, finally something we agree on, absolutely. There's a lot of labels out there, like even organic and vegan and free range and humanely killed, all these labels. A lot of them don't mean shit. I mean, for the environment, for the planet, even sometimes for the animals, like the vegan label usually determines that this product has not come at the expense of animal exploitation directly, but of course there is always the chance that it has done indirectly. Totally, veganism isn't perfect. As I said, it's just making efforts to try to avoid it as much as possible, whereas the words organic, free range, humanely killed, they mean absolutely nothing. they really don't mean much. Organic means there's no chemicals, but it doesn't account for any like environmental destruction. And humanely killed and free range often don't mean what they mean at all. Free range means a bigger barn or a bigger area. It doesn't mean outside living in some beautiful idyllic life, and it doesn't matter anyway because those animals still all go to the same slaughterhouse. Same as humanely killed. You can't humanely kill someone who doesn't want to die. You can't humanely kill someone against their will. That's violent. Humane and violent can't be in the same sentence. Humane means with compassion. So I totally agree with him on this. The labels can be very deceptive, and it is important that we go into the truth of these labels. And I encourage all of you to do that with all the food that you're buying and eating. All right, we agree on this point.
I ate the squirrels. It's obvious to see it, but we're all killing the squirrels or something like it in one way or another through our modernized lives.
And then there we go for another point that I completely disagree with. He's doing it again. He's trying to justify his violent act by saying, well, you do violent acts. No, the intent is important. The intent matters. The person driving the car who accidentally kills someone, or cars accidentally killing people, doesn't justify you driving your car directly into someone and killing them. Now, there are people out there who are vegan and doing everything they can to avoid animal exploitation and animal killing, who indirectly still contribute to it because either they have no choice, they don't have the education, they don't have the food availability. That doesn't justify you having all those things and having the option to not kill those squirrels, killing those squirrels. That's not how it works. You can't use one to justify the other. It's a false equivalency and it's a logical fallacy. It's such nonsense.
What I didn't eat, such as the fur and the skin, went right back to the land and actually fertilized my garden. So it was a closed loop system. In fact, even the bait that I used to trap them was sweet potatoes from my garden using a metal trap. So zero waste whatsoever in a completely closed loop system.
So wait, you're telling me you built a metal trap, you went to the extent of using some of the food you had grown that you were bothered about them taking. You even went to the extent of setting up a metal trap. So you had the materials around to have been able to make some kind of cage over the plants, over the food. And you used the food that you were annoyed about them taking to trap them. Where's the logic here? Where's the logic here? This person is looking for multiple excuses and justifications to do this, when I said it a few times, I believe that they just wanted to do it. They just wanted to do it, maybe for likes, maybe for fame, maybe for, I don't know why, maybe for taste, maybe just because they're a sick individual that likes to see other animals suffer and die, or likes the thrill of catching someone and killing them. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not for the reasons he's saying, because it's completely illogical.
So we're talking about sustainability here. Squirrels are also rodents. They reproduce a lot, so it is a sustainable source of food. Now, a big thing that people would ask or say is it, would it be sustainable if everybody did it?
I don't really care if this is sustainable if everybody did it. We're talking about specifically you and what you're doing right now. But the reality is, no, it wouldn't be sustainable if everybody did it. We know that anyway. There are many things that are sustainable. However, are they ethical? Well, no. And this isn't ethical. So we can keep on preaching sustainability all day, but it has to be ethical sustainability. And this is not ethical if it comes at the expense of the life of another sentient being, whether they be a squirrel or a dog or any sentient being on our planet, human or non-human.
Or not a question, just say, if everybody did this, all the squirrels would be dead. Yes. So sustainability is about critical thinking and problem solving. If everybody in Orlando is eating the squirrels, then I wouldn't have been in that scenario in the first place. And if my neighborhood all wanted to eat squirrels, I would think about the situation differently. True sustainability is not about any direct set of rules. It's really about looking at individual circumstances and deciding what the sustainable thing to do in that scenario is.
What a vague description, a vague way of saying that. So it's just, there's no set of rules for sustainability. Do pretty much whatever you want in the name of sustainability. Remember that. That's what he's coming from his mouth. It's like, there are no rules to this. You can just do what you want. Forget ethics, the ethics of animal exploitation, the ethics of using and abusing animals. I mean, how far does it go? What a vague definition of sustainability.
So that requires critical thinking. It requires problem solving. It requires not
Critical thinking and problem solving. Have you seen any critical thinking or problem solving in this video so far? Because so far I've seen none. I've seen somebody who jumped the gun to kill an animal for fun, for pleasure. And if you used critical thinking and problem solving, then you could have done a very non-violent alternative to this. But there was none, because this person had the hunger, the eagerness, because he wanted to kill the squirrel. So I'm going to skip, he talks about cooking and eating and tasting the squirrel, so I'm going to skip that part now. We're just going to go close to the end of the video. We're almost at the end now, and he does a conclusion here, I think. So let's take a look at what he has to say in conclusion.
Saying that this really isn't about the squirrel at all. This is about a bigger picture. Honestly, I wouldn't do a video that's really just about why I ate the squirrels if there wasn't a much bigger thing behind it. I went into that. But really the take-home lesson is that the world is not a black and white place. When you actually unlift the veil behind the food you're buying at the supermarket, you realize it is far more complex and far more intricate than that. When you look deeper at life, you realize that all of our actions are far more complex and deep than we think or would like to think.
Absolutely agree with all of that. He's absolutely right. If you look into the supermarket, things are way more complex than they are at first sight. If you look into life in general, things are way more complex than they are at first sight. And that's why I'm surprised. How can someone who's saying this be so casual and happy about killing innocent animals throughout this video? If you believe life is so complex and he seems to have a respect for life, however, his actions say something completely different. His words and his actions are not aligned.
Labels are a false sense of security. When you really look, there's pros and there's cons to everything. So that's where I want to go. I want to go into the gray areas that really create critical thinking. And that is the purpose of talking about the squirrels and why I chose to eat them.
So we're talking about eating squirrels because he wants to teach us about critical thinking, and he's used absolutely no critical thinking whatsoever to determine his actions. If you used critical thinking, then you would say, do I need to eat these squirrels? No. Why would I be eating these squirrels? Maybe because I want to. Does that justify my action of killing and eating the squirrels? No. Are there alternatives to killing them to protect my food? Yes. So what would stop me from doing that? Nothing. Okay, therefore the correct way of acting right now is to protect my food in a non-violent way and maybe even feed the squirrels because I'm a good person and I don't want to see unnecessary suffering. There are many other ways that where you could use critical thinking and problem-solving skills to solve an issue without killing, without violence. Why would you turn to violence as the first answer? It's not critical thinking whatsoever.
To eat them. And I hope that you got that. I hope that you see that intricacies of life. Now, if that is where you want to go in life, if you want to go further down the path of sustainability and living a just and equal life, then...
I'm sorry, what was that? If you want to go further down the path of sustainability and living a just and equal life, you've just spent the last 10 minutes trying to justify why you killed some innocent lives that were just trying to live and just trying to survive for your taste pleasure, and trying to call it all these different things and trying to justify it like crazy. 10 minutes solid of trying to justify that. And you're talking about living a just and equal life? Mind blown. Mind absolutely blown. Like, such a contradictory way of speaking versus way of living. Like, it's just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
This is definitely the channel for you. So make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment, and share this video to help get it out there. I love you all very much, and I will see you again real soon. Why did I eat?
Hey man, I love you too, man. Like, I don't hate this guy. Like, I liked that at the end. Like, I love you all. I don't think he's a bad person. I've been pretty bad to this guy all the way through this. I've been ragging on him a lot for sure. Maybe he was trying to do this to get famous, trying to do this to build his channel. Maybe he was trying to do this because he genuinely thought this was a sustainable thing to do. This was the right thing to do. And I hope that, I hope he sees this video to realize, how off that was and how wrong that was what he did. And if he would consider doing it again, I'd hope he'd watch this video and be like, actually, no, I can operate with better ethics and be sustainable. I can be an ethical, sustainable individual. You don't even have to use the vegan label. You can be self-sustainable. You can live an ethical life without it impeding on the lives of others, human or non-human. But you can't save the planet and save the wildlife and save the nature whilst you're impeding on their lives. Like, you're impeding on their living. You're trying to kill them so you can eat them. There has to be a better way, and there is a better way. And someone like you, who is apparently knowledgeable on all of these things, it shouldn't take you a lot of effort to figure it out, the way of living that actually doesn't impede on their way of living of other animals, and actually allows you to live your best life and them to live their best lives. I hope this guy, Rob, I hope he sees this video and realizes, like, and sees, okay, I can't, hope he agrees. And I'm looking forward to seeing a response from you. If you're watching this, man, I hope you do a response video, or at least get involved in the comments of this video. Let me know what you think about this, because you seem like a good guy. Your channel seems pretty cool. Lots of ways to grow your own food, but this is really disappointing, man. Really disappointing. And yeah, I hope you see the light, and hope you don't make others suffer at your expense in the future. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, then that's awesome. I mean, thank you so much. It's really, really cool. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video with any friends and family you have who would maybe be influenced by this conversation, by this discussion. I'm sure there are many people out there who are making these same excuses he's making, and yeah, I'm sure it would help them to see the rebuttals to those excuses. If you're in the market for some new vegan t-shirts, hoodies, bags, stuff like that, don't forget to check out the new Skinny Vegan Fitness store. I've recently launched it. There's some really cool stuff on there. Everything is eco-friendly, vegan, and ethically made. And yeah, there's some really nice designs on there. You can go and check that out. All the profits from that will go directly to supporting me and my activism. So check that out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.